Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or hello in the middle of the night whenever you're watching this. I know some of you are kind of weird, but this is part 2 of the lecture on graph and slope review. Today I'm going to show you how to find the slope from 2 points on a graph, or it could just be any 2 points, and then we're going to have just a little more conversation about how to read the graphs, what things mean. I also know on the assignment there's a graph that kind of looks like this that you have to talk about, so I'm going to talk about that. Anyways, okay, we've got the red excavation company and the blue excavation company, and I want to talk about how to write the equations for those, okay? And in order to write the equation, you need the slope. Okay, so we've got the red company. Don't forget to start your equation. It's just y equals blank x blank, because the equation is y equals mx plus b, and we're just filling in the slope and the y-intercept, right? So the y-intercept is the easy one, because you can just look at the graph, bring it all the way back to where it runs into the axis, and that's 0 for red. Okay, for blue, it's a little different, right? Because that's up there. But for red, we're just looking at a 0 intercept, and now we have to try and find 2 points on that graph in order to calculate the slope, okay? So as I'm looking at the graph with you, I'm following this line up, and I'm looking for where it looks like we've got exact crossovers. I know one of my spots is 0, 0, because I can see it crosses right there. And as I look up here, I'm looking for like an exact, that looks pretty good right there. We could say 500 cubic yards, 500, and well, let's say 500 and 300, okay? So that's our second point. Remember, the first number is your how far to the right, and then your second number is how far up. So 300 is that point right there. So it's just a little off of where they cross, okay? All right, so now we've got 2 points, and we have to try and find their slope. So if you remember, slope, I'm going to go in black. Slope is the change in y over the change in x, meaning I want to know how much y goes up or down, if it's negative, over how much x goes over, okay? So the way that works is these numbers are x and y, right? X and y coordinates, okay? So when I go from this from this y to this y, from 0 to 300, how much did I go up? That's correct. I went up 300. Nice job. And then when I go from 0 to 500, how much did I go up? Correct. That's 500. Well, that can just be simplified, okay? Or you can even turn it into a decimal. I could go 300 divided by 500, and I could use that as my slope, especially if I have to answer questions about how much does something cost, right? But if I just simplify, my slope is 3/5 x, right? And then if I divide that, that's 520. That would be 0.6. So you could use 0.6x plus 0 or 3/5 x plus 0, and those are both your slope. So you do the same thing for blue, right? And keep in mind, you're just kind of eyeballing it. Y equals blank x plus or minus blank. And you should pause this video and see if you can find the slope on my PowerPoint for the example that's up there. But blue runs in at 200, so that's the y-intercept, nice and easy. And then I'm looking for, I got this point right here, which is 0, because remember I didn't go anywhere to the right, 0, 200, like this, that's my first point. And now I need another point, and we missed that one a little bit, but I like this one, 450. and 800. So if I go 800 across, and I'm talking about right there, 800 across, 400 up, there's my point, right? And now my slope from 2 to 400 is 200, and from 0 to 800 is 800. Take away those zeros, that's my slope. In fact, 2/8, that even simplifies to 1/4. So it's 1/4 x plus 20, and if you divide 1 by 4, that's just 0.25x plus 200. And so that's how you find those equations. You just estimate 2 points and then find the x, the x and the y changes. Now, a couple things. Remember, if blue excavation is starting at 200, that's the y-intercept. So when I ask you questions like, what does the y-intercept mean? It means how much blue excavation costs to just start. It's like a startup fee. It's like an upfront cost. Red excavation doesn't have a startup fee. But if you've got to plow or move more than 500 cubic yards, it becomes more expensive. So if you're doing less than 500 cubic yards, you want red excavation. But if you've got a bigger job, see how the blue graph comes down, is like underneath? That's how you know it's cheaper over time. I feel like a weatherman. This is so weird. And in my basement, it's going to rain. Anyways, this was one of the other kind of graphs that's in your assignment that I thought you might have trouble with, because you're trying to find the slope. And let's say we're finding the slope. Let's say this is like 100, 200, this is 300, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or something. And you're trying to find the slope for the first 4 hours of that line, right? Well, it doesn't go up like these. It just stays flat. So that change in y is 0. It's not going anywhere. Change in x, we're going 4 hours, right? Change in x, we're saying 4 hours. But what's 0 divided by anything? That's 0. So that's just a 0 slope for the first 4 hours. Means this company doesn't charge any more than $300 for the first 4 hours. It's just $300. But then after that, whoop, then we start going up, okay? Hopefully that helps you answer those questions. Get that worksheet done today. Give me a call if you need to talk about questions or email. Hope you guys are good. Peace.